That's my bigger concern. Not so much, they say, oh, the lawyers are going to get rich off it. That's not the primary thing. It's just that at some point you have to look at what's going on around you. And if you have people who are saying stupid things and are racially insensitive, you challenge them. Say, why do you say that? What basis do you have for that? And I bet you 9 times out of 10, they won't have an answer for it.
No.
Or if they have an answer, it's a stupid answer. Well, I saw it on television. Well, guess what?
Or they start calling you names.
Yeah.
You believe everything you see on TV?
Wow. And that's the other thing. They make it, as the guy told me, it's black on black.
Yeah.
They'll try to take it down to a personal level and get you acting out. And that then, so we'll see, you make my point. So you have to resist that. And realize, too, fundamentally, we're only responsible for ourselves. We can't change other people. And, the old joke is, how many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb? And it's one, but that's only if the light bulb really wants to change.
We can't change people, but we can definitely try to teach.
You can try to teach them. And if people, exactly, if people are receptive, that's fine. If you think of a way to make a point without being accusatory, offering them information, I think that's a great way to do it. But typically people who have these very strongly held personal beliefs are resistant to anything that will challenge them.
Yes, we actually have a very close friend who voted for Trump,
She told the line of the Republican
she's
vote.
very, very conservative in her ideology. She'd also be the first one to tell you she's not a racist.
Of course
Yes.
not. And you'll never get her to watch it.
You're never going to convince her. We cannot convince her.
Right.
We've been able to break down some barriers.
Yes. We continue to whittle away at barriers.
Because there is
there's
potential in her. You can see there are times when things do click.
Yes. And I don't believe that she wants to be racist. I don't believe she thinks of herself as racist.
Most white people
but she uses a lot of other things that are going on in society as a crutch to hold up those views. So it's one of those things where we have to keep just, whittling away.
I mean, there are some people that you'll never get through.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you see the potential,
Well, we've got about a half an hour left, and I've been doing all the talking. Not that I mind talking, I like to talk.
It was wonderfully
It was very informative because we don't actually live in Flint. And so the information that we have is entirely what we just pick up from news items or talking to people that are in the area that are familiar with what's
The
happening.
nice thing is that I was able to realize that a lot of the information that I've been able to find is almost identical.
Yes.
With what you're saying.
Yes.
So all of this is actually out there and there for everybody to read and understand.
Yes.
Right.
And it's quite remarkable how many people all over the country are passing this information around and continue to pass it around.
We have friends
and
outside
continue to bring it out
who
for
are doing
people.
that also.
Yes.
There have been protests in other countries for Flint in the crisis.
Wow. And what's really interesting is that when I told you about the sewer fund balance, it was reported in the certified annual financial reports. It's called a CAFR. And by law, each community has to report to the world how they've spent their money over the last fiscal year. And right there it says, transfers in, transfers out. But people don't understand what the financial reports mean. And they also don't know that when you see, for example, I think it was like $4.5 million paid by the water and sewer fund to the general fund for administrative costs, that by ordinance, they were limited to $300,000. And so anything above $300,000 was money that they were calling something, but they were using it for something else.
They were essentially stealing.
They were stealing what?
Yeah.
Stealing implies that they were definitely commingling the funds and using them for unapproved purposes.
Yes.
And I mean, to the extent they kept my streets clear and picked up my garbage, I'm not unhappy with that.
Yeah.
To the extent that when it became time to upgrade the water treatment plant, there was no money to do it, I'm upset about that.
See, that's part of the reason why Flint has issues and is falling apart. They keep transferring money here and there and there.
And why do you think they do that?
Well, it's a bait and
There's-
switch if you don't know where the money is.
There are people that will be profiting off of certain
Oh, yeah.
things.
Maybe,
There is probably a race undertone there too.
perhaps,
There's definitely classism.
okay.
They think that the people of Flint will never notice these things. They don't really want Flint to come back and be strong.
But that's, the last point,
Yeah.
I think, is perhaps your most persuasive point.
Yes.
And that's the loss of the tax base.
Yes.
Yeah.
Flint's been told for decades, you've got to diversify your economy, you're too dependent on the auto industry, and the response is, GM will never leave Flint. Well, guess what? It's
Yeah.
gone.
Yes.
And that is a truism in terms of how those who have been in positions to govern have governed and how they've managed or mismanaged the money. The problem with that is that even your emergency manager, no matter how talented he or she may be, can't bring in a new tax base. And that's really where Flint is right now. And that's why when I say Flint's been broke for a number of years, it's just not been publicized and widely known, is that when the taxes that were paid by the employees for General Motors left Flint, and when the tax on machinery left Flint, when the plants closed down, that was the death knell of Flint, Michigan, as we
Yes.
know it. And it's a politically unpopular statement to say, well, disincorporate Flint and let it be absorbed into Genesee County.
Yeah.
Because people
But that's
will,
what we wanted.
well, people will say, you're taking away my vote, my power.
Yes.
I no longer have
Yes.
a city council person. I have to now deal with the county commissioner. All those things are true, but what's the alternative? Once the furor dies down over Flint, Michigan, I suggest it already has,
Yeah.
in terms of what's happened here, where's the money going to come from? To run the city.
So Mike Brown at one point told me,
Mhm.
and gives a passing, and I think this was very early on in
Yep.
his stint.
Yep.
He said, so historically, the city just followed suit for retirement packages
Right.
with GM.
Yep.
That was the easiest way to deal with unions
Yep.
and the strong presence of the UAW.
Yep.
And then he said, so now GM's not here, the tax base isn't here, but 75 cents on every dollar of the city goes into legacy costs
Right.
for those retirement benefits
Right.
based on those
Yeah.
Those agreements from years ago.
yeah, from years ago. And that was where the issue of, so where does the money come from to just run day-to-day stuff if you're spending most of your money on legacy costs?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
You have the OPEBs, other post-employment benefits, that are eating up your general fund revenue every single year, and it's a diminishing return. You've got a shrinking base, you've got expenses that don't quit, and you use the money that you should be using for restricted purposes for general operations. And that's what's caused, in my view, that's the contributing cause. And the powers that be in Lansing, they know that.
They do.
And the reason you know that they know that is that in Public Act 436, there's a section that says it's illegal. The emergency manager cannot use the assets or revenues from a public utility that provides electricity, power,
Infrastructure.
but not water. And the reason it was because that was drafted during the time that Mike Brown was here, and Ed Kurtz, and they knew that if they put that into that law, that they would immediately, all of their emergency managers would be immediately breaking the law. They would be right there in front of them, as opposed to hidden in plain sight in the financial records, because there was no money to operate here in Flint. And
The
that's,
thing that bothers me in talking with people in our county and other areas of Michigan, the implication has always been that Flint needs an emergency manager because of incompetence
Right.
and corruption.
But it has nothing to do with
I
that.
know.
I had a conversation kind of early on when things came out about the whole water thing internationally, and I was having a conversation with a friend online. online. And they were like, well, you know, what would be the reason for this? And I said, well, we have a Republican government, and it's a union town. And he said, well, what does that mean? And I said, well, what do you want to do? You want to get rid of the union. So you destroy the infrastructure. You destroy business and force people to move out. And then what have you got left? An empty shell of a town.
That you can use as you want.
That you can use as you want, and you can rape and pillage however you want to do that. And they said, well, what's the deal with the water? And I said, who knows? Maybe they're crazy and they just want to kill off everybody who's left. I don't know. It doesn't make none of it makes any sense to me. You know, just the desire to get rid of unions is like, I'm a United Steelworker. Make me go.
Let me see if there's any comments that listen, so you all haven't said too much.
Can you speak to this larger element of the state where they would, because we're creatures of the state, take away the revenue sharing, create deficits in, let's just say, brown and black towns, and then only come into those communities for the emergency management?
Yes.
I can only tell you, again, my theory, and that is that when the Republican administration started in 2011, that was one of the higher priorities, is to take away, you know, you got two pots for revenue sharing. You got the statutory, you got the Constitution. And the statutory is what they could get to. And that's what they did. That's what they immediately shrunk. But the reason, and part of the reason they did that is because then that money would flow to the state's bottom line, and you could then say, look, what a great job we're doing managing state government. We got rid of this deficit from those darn spendthrift Democrats under the Granholm administration, and surplus here in the Snyder administration after only one fiscal year. Hello, I mean, I hate to say people are that simplistic, but I really think they thought that was the thing. But the finances were already in trouble in Benton Harbor, Pontiac, Flint, and Detroit. I mean, I remember, I can't tell you the details, but I remember vividly the borrowing that was going on from, you know, that Detroit would come to Treasury during the time I was there, and it was just mind-boggling, and there seemed to be no end to it. And actually today I was talking with the general counsel for the city of Detroit, and he says that the bankruptcy that they went through, in a sense, helped them significantly because they were able to shed a ton of debt. I mean, the amount of debt that they shed was, you know, my words, not his, I mean, $8 billion worth of debt that they no longer have. And you can see the results of that. I had to walk, it was probably about a quarter of a mile away from where we were going to meet, and I was walking the auto show. You can't park in any of the garages, so I was on the street 8 blocks, you know, a mile away or something like that. And literally every block that you walked on, there was construction, there was development going on, there were new places. I told him, I said, I know you had a Moose Jaw downtown and a Nike store, are you kidding me? And there, of course, it's all around the Campus Martius area, but the reality is that if you want to have an emergency manager law, here's Val's theory about what it should look like. If it's bad enough that you have to declare a fiscal emergency, you appoint a manager to go in and do one thing, and that is declare bankruptcy, take the entity through the bankruptcy process. When it comes out and it's discharged, then you're gone. You don't have this R-tab, you don't have this hanging on. What you have is you go in, you come out, and you're done. And here's the reason why. Emergency medical technicians. When's the last time you saw an EMS truck pull up to a car crash and look at the person lying on the ground and say, you know what? You got an emergency here, but we'll be back in about 18 months to pick you up and take you to the hospital. It just doesn't happen. If it's an emergency, treat it like an emergency. Come in with a laser strike. You get in, you get at the things. And I think there's some real credence to what was said here about the unions, because one of the first things that's starting to happen is that the contracts for the union retiree benefits were attacked by the emergency manager.
Yes. And
that's another lawsuit that's in the, I think it's in the 6th Circuit now, where they did it and they were told you were wrong. You can't do this. But yes, back to your main question, I really think that there was I don't know if it was a conscious decision or not, and I don't want to be that cynical, but the reality is that when they shrunk the statutory revenue sharing, it created deficits, and many of these communities urban communities, primarily African-American communities, that were dependent upon that money to run their government. And when that money went away, of course you're going to have a deficit.
Yeah. And with the fear of you're going to attack my retirement benefits, a lot of the, I don't know how many senior engineers over the water plant in Flint that were close to retirement all left, so that they could retain their retirement benefits before they got cut. And then you had junior people who weren't bad people, but because they didn't have the experience. Yep.
And just to follow up, I mean, in regards to thinking of government as a business, I mean, I always assume the government is there for quality of life. Right. You speak to some of those interesting dynamics.
Of the people, by the people, and for the people. That's what I understand government to be about. Not to be run as a profit or, at a profit or making money. It's to provide services, fundamental services. We all want our trash picked up. We want to be able to have clean water, and we want to feel safe in our homes. And we want lights in our communities. Those are the, kind of, to me, the fundamentals of what I expect from my government. I don't expect a whole lot, but I'm willing to pay my tax dollars if I know in return I'm going to get these things. Of course, I also would like good education, but that's another whole other subject that I won't get into tonight. But
that can go by virus.
But the point of it is that somewhere along the line, focus has been lost on why government exists.
Yeah.
And I really think that it's a shame that we have a government now that has provided health care benefits for over 80 million people who didn't have any health care coverage, and the succeeding administration is immediately talking about taking it away. And fortunately, at least what I hear, because I don't watch the news and I don't listen to it and I don't read the paper, what I hear is that Trump at least says, well, you can't take away Obamacare unless you got something replacing it. First smart thing I've heard anybody say. Because the reality is that health care costs, because there are no caps, because there are no limits, have been the biggest single factor that has caused, poverty within families. I mean, people can't afford to go see medical care, and that's in the United States of America. We're supposed to be the richest country in the world, and we've got people who can't afford to go and get basic health care needs taken care of without government assistance. There's something wrong with it.
So I was talking to a friend the other day, and they were at the pharmacy, and I know that they were at the pharmacy, but they were talking to the pharmacist, and I could heard them say, can you give me an estimate on what that's going to cost, so I can decide whether or not I'm going to get the medicine. And this is somebody who has a full-time job.
Yes.
That pays pretty well, and still having that conversation because of minimum costs.
I currently have the ACA. I don't have a job because of health issues. I'm terrified. I have life-threatening illnesses. Without my medications, without the ACA, I wouldn't be alive today. Plain and simple, I wouldn't. And without my medications, and if I'm taken off because of my pre-existing conditions, I won't make it. And I know other people who are in this situation who are terrified.